you guys can watch later. We are now recording. Okay, so once again, Steve Oakley in the kitchen. We are in his kitchen here at Oakley's Bistro in Indianapolis, a little bit in northern Indy.
A little bit, north side of Indy.
North side of Indy?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know Indianapolis well enough yet. Okay, so we're going to go over some dishes in the kitchen, but first I wanted to just do a little plug for Operation Operator. We are still running that promotion until October. You can submit your invoices until November, but for every 10 cases of duck that you buy, so it can be cumulative all throughout the summer, you get one free case. And you also get a maple leaf mask, which I hope that I would have for you here today, but they're supposed to come in next week. They're really cool though, and we also have this webinar series going on, and then we also are doing social media ads for restaurants as well. So check all of that out with your regional and or your distributor rep, and definitely check it out. It's a great program. So we also are looking at launching a loyalty program here soon. I mentioned that in the last webinar, but stay tuned. I will probably have more details on that with the next webinar, which is in September. So anyways, we can go ahead and get started here. Steve has some great prep methods that he wanted to show us. We're going to talk about basic tips and tricks for duck breasts, and then I'll just let him take it away.
Yeah, we'll get started. Good morning, everybody. You know, maple leaf has been, I guess I feel like part of the family. I've been using it for 30 years right now, and you know, as we all know in the industry, the biggest thing is consistency. So you're never going to find a more consistent product than maple leaf as far as with the duck goes here. So that's the one thing you can always bank on. Now cooking it, you know, that's operator error all the time, but a lot of things can change. But they have some great things out now that we're kind of taking advantage of through this whole COVID situation and other times. But we're just going to kind of run through some basic things that I feel that can help you in cost savings or ease of banquets or parties and things like that. You know, they have a lot more products than what you have out now in front of us. So, you know, they can help you out with a lot of appetizer things and all the way to the entree. So, my favorite always has been the duck breasts, a couple different sizes, 6 to 7 ounce. You know, they come easy packed, and it's a real simple product. We're going to show you how to fabricate that. Talk about the cooking process and so forth, but very consistent in sizing and in flavor all the time. So great product to use. The next one, the half roasted duck. There's a couple different flavors that you have now.
We have rotisserie, and then that is our classic roast half duck with orange sauce. Yep. This is actually the Costco pack.
Yeah, so it comes with the little pack of orange sauce, which I've kind of found out it's kind of fun to use as a glaze, or just put into a little bit of mayonnaise and so forth, things like that. Just to maybe not use it all in one application, but it's there for your use whenever you want to apply it in different ways. The half duck has been fun for us because it's allowed us to do a take and bake, and what we've done is taken out the package and a couple times have brushed it with more of like a bourbon barbecue sauce. I've used the orange sauce, made different types of glazes. So anything that is kind of sticky and that will adhere to the duck. It's fully cooked, super moist. The other thing we've done is we've used it in banquets for larger parties, and to keep the moisture, we've put this in a sous vide around 145, heat them up for about 35-40 minutes, and then you just take them, cut them out of the bag, and put them on the plate, present them how you want. But it's a great banquet option or a faster party kind of situation where you need to free up some time in the kitchen. One of my favorite is the chicken fried duck, and just taking the same rotisserie chicken, separating it. You could probably do the whole thing and serve a half fried duck, which would be kind of cool. This one I just had marinated in some buttermilk, and then just a flour cornstarch mixture, which kind of gives it a little bit flakier crust. So you don't have to worry about it being greasy at all. You know, it's when they're cooked in these packages, they're nice and lean. There's still the fat on there, so if you want to grill them or do whatever other application you might like, it's kind of cool.
Nice and flaky.
Yep. One of my favorite duck livers, and we've done. You know, people are kind of afraid of these, but one of the fun things to do, we've taken the duck livers and we've soaked them in a milk brine. So we take a curing mix, toss the livers, cover them with milk, soak those overnight, and they remove some of the blood, so you get some of that unwanted flavor out of there, and you end up with a nice, real creamy duck liver, something that'll stay moist since it's brine. You know, we've done today, just lightly grilled them, and you know, we've done everything from making smoked duck liver, dirty rice, you know, fried duck livers and so forth, just by simply breading them. But I always like brining them first, or at least soak them to get some of that blood out of there, and kind of proceed from there. You know, in doing the duck breast, you're always left with a little bit of trimming, the cracklings, which are, you know, simply we just cover in water, and we cook it slow until all the water evaporates, and then the duck starts crisping up in the pan. You just keep stirring it until the duck livers get crispy. Drain that fat. We use that fat for making types of mayonnaise and basting fish, things like that, or even basting the duck. This is going to get folded into the dirty rice and so forth. So a lot of times too, I'll put these cracklings back into the flour part, so it kind of even adds another element to it. And then let's see, we're going to move on.
I think we're good. Okay, good. Yeah, sorry about that. When the video cut out, it also cut out the audio, and we had to reset it. So we're back on, and Steve is now on to duck breast. I believe it stopped right as we were bringing it over, so we should be on right where we're at.
Yep, back at it. Okay. I just want to cut into those livers real quick and just show you the different color and the texture. The texture changes by brining it a little bit, kind of firms it up a little bit. You know, and livers are something that are meant to be cooked very quickly. You know, we've done these livers with, you know, making an apple mousse with cooking the livers, a little bit of butter and apples, kind of so forth. But you know, soaking them is the key. You know, with the fried chicken, you probably, you know, just to show how moist it is inside the center of the duck. You know, it's still kind of crispy, gives you almost a double layer of the skin and then the breading. Kind of a fun idea, just a little different application. So when you get the product in, there's multiple things you can do with it to try to introduce that to your guests and show them different techniques. So the duck breast itself, we always start by just trimming off just enough fat when you look at the top of the duck, just so there's a nice even layer. I'll trim a little bit off the side. I don't like to take too much off. We're going to take a little bit of this sinew off where the bone was at. Sometimes they can get a little tough there. And then from this point, I always tell my chefs 21 cuts because they'll only do 18. If you tell them 21, they'll do 18. But I always prefer holding the skin.
I've never heard a number before.
I give them numbers, and that way it gives them something to shoot for.
There you go, yeah.
And someone's probably counting online here.
I like that.
Go
Love
one
to
way.
Try that. I'm gonna try and do duck breast in my next live video.
But you want to get those cuts close together. That way, when the skin renders down, you'll have a crisper texture on the top. If you do it wider cuts, those pieces can tend to be a little bit fatty. This way, the fat will render off and run through it. And we cook the breast about 90% on one side, and go from there. So at this point, you can either go straight into a cold pan. I find the cold pan is the best thing. You would season it, a little salt and pepper, put it in the cold pan, then turn the temperature on a low heat. And you want that, what I call liquid gold, the duck fat, just to start rendering out, and let it keep going, let it keep going. You know, and then when it renders down, you're going to be left with a little bit of this fat, which we save, like I said, making aiolis or basting fish or going back over the duck and so forth.
You poached some shrimp in it the other week?
Yeah, I put some shrimp in there. But you want to cook it 90% on that side. And kind of the key is, as the breast is cooking, you want to pick it up and move it. So it just change different directions so you get a nice even coat of the crispy skin. And so, you know, once that's...
The cold pan is pretty important too, right?
It is. The cold pan is probably the most important, because you want to, if you put it in a hot pan, it's just going to sear that top layer of fat, and then it's going to have trouble rendering the fat off from that point. So start it out cold. If you do it on a grill, sometimes we grill the duck, we'll just move it to start on colder parts.
Gotcha.
Okay. And then what we do, and what there's different options you can take from that point. So you can cook it from the raw state. What we do, we like to sous vide them. So we clean them up, score them, and these are marinated with a little bit of coriander and smoked paprika, and a little bit of olive oil. And then we sous vide them, put them in a bag, sous vide them for 125 for an hour. So they're still not cooked, but what we end up achieving is a nice firm texture and a nice consistent temperature from end to end. Okay.
Prepping the bake with
easy
kosher.
prepping, and you know, by sous videing it, the skin will crisp up a little bit nicer than from the raw state.
We'll have that new skinless sous vide item out here soon too.
Yeah.
We had to take it in house, so that's why it's taking a little bit longer, but should be here soon.
One more product added on the line, and so this is one that just came off, and you can see it's sat for a minute, but it's got still has a crispy texture. Now, one of the most important things too with resting the duck is we always rest it with the skin side down, because there's all that temperature on the bottom is allowed to escape. If you turn the duck over and it's hot, it's going to permeate down to the bottom and overcook your duck breast. So you sear them, we take them off the plate, and we let them cool. You know, sometimes for service we'll get the skin going, and then when we get an order, we just flash it on the grill and go from there.
Do you usually cook only in the pan? I know in some instances some chefs put it in the oven, but you kind of
it can get away from you.
It's,
you know, the sous vide method and the doing in the pan, kind of you can see it.
Yeah, as it goes.
As you're
Yeah.
going. So it's
Because
one of
when you
those
feel
things.
it, it's kind of like a steak
Yeah.
for the doneness as well.
Yeah.
Like whatever that trick is with your hand.
Yeah, I always tell the cooks, you just hold your hand out and you got, you know, rare, medium, well done up by your thumb. So you want it kind of in here. So then we end up with, after it's rested, a lot of times we like to slice, put it on the plate, and go in the oven just to bring it back up to temperature. The slicing part is kind of interesting because I've seen all different types of methods where people cut on the skin down. You know, they start straight up and down. I think my least favorite is when they just cut it in half this way.
Yeah.
You end up, the customer ends up having to use a knife and it becomes difficult. So
Usually do chunks.
yeah,
and
chunks
they
like
cut it
that.
up.
My favorite is finding where that wing bone was at, and then just starting at the head with the skin side down. You know, the thinner, the better.
So
And you can see, you know, that sous vide, it takes that rawness out of there. It's still super juicy. I mean, there's still a little bit of
it's the right amount of
lighter
pink.
amount of pink left in there, you know, and then slicing that duck across. And like I said, you can even go this way if you want, but I like to get some longer slices just for presentation wise, but the thinner, you know, we always take, chefs will take,
Thin that is.
you know, they'll take the bottom two pieces that aren't the most attractive, and we kind of divide it in the middle. Now you want that skin side up, kind of fan it out. One there, turn it back over, and that way you're cutting with the skin side down too, you don't end up ripping the skin off that you spent all that time on.
That's a good point.
And you go there, then you can have really nice presentation, and it's easy for the customer to
Yeah, that looks
get
amazing.
involved with and so
What
forth.
are your favorite things to pair with duck breasts, like side-wise?
Usually, my favorite things to do with the duck is any sort of fruit that's in season. Right now, we're still doing some cherries that we cook in some red wine and so forth. Any sort of fruit goes great with it. Peaches, cherries, you know, even a combination of peach and tomatoes, which are really good right now, and so forth. But you know, and any starch, you know. But it's just an easy way to look at it. As far as the breast goes, we've also taken the breast and cut longer pieces, and we will. This is in the sous vide form, so it's cooked to some degree. But when we want to do a little appetizer, skewers here.
Can we grab them?
Yeah, they're in that container right there. Yep. So if you wanted to utilize the duck breast in a different form as an appetizer, I always like to take these and do more of a little yakitori. You got the skin on there. You can put a little piece of fruit in between. But these are great, you know, for an appetizer or a little amuse or something for when a guest sits down or something like that. So it's pretty easy to do. You know, we've even done the old water chestnut in between kind of thing. But just a little satay and, you know, going back and forth. You can do this with those, with the raw sous vide duck breasts that are coming out, you know, so that's a great way to do it.
I've seen that even with livers before, when I was in Japan.
Yeah,
but
the livers, they do that. You know, we kind of did a play on that today.
So,
The other thing is, I like to use the